like, I don't need a Brazilian. Then I kind of had no choice.
You're like, no, we need to be alone in the studio. Almost 4 million viewers now. What we do is really special. You can't fake chemistry. What were we thinking?
We didn't.
If we burn this, we're gonna have to sell the house to pay for this lingerie.
Am I comfortable with my nudity? Am I comfortable with the nudity of other people? My name is Juliati. I'm a portrait and boudoir photographer. I'm a dancer, director, producer, and filmmaker. Today, I would like to introduce you Ronny Dutra, my dance partner and co-creator of many artistic projects. He's an actor, singer, dancer, director, and choreographer, an overall amazing person to know.
I don't even know, 10 years ago,
no idea.
if you ask me, hey, do you believe you and this woman that just walked through the door in this crazy dance studio would be doing an interview about all the projects you've done together? I'm like, no way, she's just here to have a couple lessons.
How about we have an amazing Brazilian guy who knows Argentine tango in and out. I'm like, I don't need a Brazilian. My life is full.
Is that what they told you?
Yes.
Oh, well.
But he was very convincing. And then I went online and checked you out. And then I kind of had no choice.
The whole video thing started when you actually said, hey, about this routine, let's just do a video. And like, sure, pick up your iPhone, let's do it. And you're like, no, we need to be alone in the studio. It has to be in the morning. I was like, okay, I had no clue what you were up for. You showed up that morning.
Yeah, it took convincing.
With an assistant and the lights and the tripods. Like, all right, we're going for this. I had no clue that it was going to be such a production. I have no clue that we're going to have almost 4 million viewers now.
Insane.
Crazy.
Seriously. Yeah.
And it's funny because I look at me back then and I'm like, oh gosh, when you look at your young self and you have so many notes for that kid, I'm like, as a director nowadays and a choreographer, I'm like, I have a couple of notes for you, kiddo, but it's a time capsule.
I think the most important part of that is that it involved all this planning and rehearsal and of course choreography, but it feels and look like more spontaneous. So that's our perfect combination of being ready and trained for something and then just let it go and be in the moment. I think
that's when hard work comes handy, because you look at that, you're like, oh, that makes it look so easy, and God only knows how much one works to make it look easy, right? Remember you looking at me and saying, like, I want you to give me homework, I wanted to give me this and that, I wanted to make me really good, and I wanted to do this together. It's like, okay, now that's someone that knows what she wants, and you're talking to somebody that also knows what he wants. So I'm like, let's give it a try. I mean, you can't fake chemistry. You can to a certain degree, but ultimately you will be caught sooner or later. And that video that day was a great milestone for me to go, oh, what we do is really special. You've always respected me. You blindly trusted me, like the choreography and the lifts and the moves and everything. And at that day, I'm like, I was completely trusting your process of the videography as well. And I'm like, she'll do what she needs to do to make us look good. And when I saw the final product, I couldn't believe it.
And that's one of the requirements of great partnership. You have to trust each other with whatever the other person does best. And just stay and wait for them to create with you, of course, but let them rule, let them lead, and just follow that. And
it is a dance.
The opposite as well.
It is a dance. People ask me, like, well, what's the secret for a good partnership? I was like, you have to come at it at 100%. It's not 50-50. It's 100% of Ronny meeting 100% of Julia creating another 100 that is this combination. It's this
I'll say it's
dynamic.
1,000. Like if you have
Right.
100, I have 100. It's not 200. I think it's 1,000.
Oh, it's a completely new thing. Yeah, completely. And that is great. And that extrapolates what we as individual can see, because if you look at the comments of that video, you have people mentioning things that I had no clue that we even put it there. It's like, well, but when he touches her hand, the air in his hands, I'm like, yeah, I went for something like that, but like to inspire other people to create poetry over it, to discuss over it. I remember a comment back there talking, oh, the neck grab just made me die. I'm like, I didn't even know I grabbed your neck because it was
that's
so
so in you. So
Yes.
that's what you do naturally. But when you cover the technical aspects, so when you don't have to think about the technicalities, you start expressing whatever it is naturally into you. That's where the chemistry comes out.
we are available for the chemistry to happen to us, right? And it was interesting because up until then I hadn't done a project that quote unquote complicated, like with that professional magnitude. And when I saw the final result, it was addicting. I'm like, oh, I want more of that. You know, I want more of that.
Yeah.
Definitely. And you were excellent at actually keep pushing that button, because you also wanted more of that. And then your approach was like, hey, let's do something else. Let's do another story. Let's do a bigger story with a full storyline, with a full song in a completely different location. And that's when that mansion, gosh,
that was
that mansion.
huge
Oh my
project.
gosh.
It took us,
We worked
a year?
more. It was we filmed. It was so cold that day. My God, me walking up that hill, I went, that anger is real. Because I was so fucking pissed already. I was so done. It was so cold.
But it's actually the perfect state of body and mind
Right.
that we needed for the film.
Absolutely.
You needed to be in that kind of.
And we had to stop in between shots because there were people coming in and going and this and that.
With that project, I totally went again with my intuition and my creativity. So how I work with anything, actually, I create this ideal thing in my mind, and then I just search for that. Okay, sometimes it takes 2 months. That time it took 6 months. So I drove everywhere in New York trying to find exactly the idea what I had created in mind. And that mansion was the last one in my list.
Interesting.
I was ready kind of maybe give up, I doubt. But still, I found the exact place with everything, with the room and the outside that matched my imaginary.
And it's funny because I remember you texting me saying, I found the place. And I instantly knew you found the place. And we just did it. It's there to say that we have to just trust 100%.
And there was nobody in the history of that place who made the movie there.
Well,
We were the first ones.
we're very lucky.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Allowed.
And honestly, it's a beautiful representation of their property as well. You know what I mean? That the way you captured the angles and the shots and the staircase and the above angles, it was just so beautiful. It made it so.
And we made the whole movie like in 5 hours, which is
Yeah.
like extremely small amount. Because for that kind of movie, you need days.
And we had to stop in between.
But then again, why?
because
We're
we're
going
ready.
back to the same idea that you have to do your homework.
Yes.
You have to plan ahead, and that's your strongest part
yeah.
of personality.
I'm a big planner.
I'm just following you.
I
and
thrive in planning. Planning, having a budget, having a time budget, a planning budget gives me the freedom I need. It's funny because a lot of people, planning is constrictive to them. It's constricting to their lifestyle. Like, well, I can't plan. I feel pressured. Like me planning, it gives me so much room to express myself and to live my fullest because I know this time is dedicated for this, you know? And we rehearse things at Infinite. I remember that little foot thing, dun, 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 like that footy thing. I was going to murder you because you had to be the timing correct, and it turned out great. how long did we practice that to look like we just winged it? And the opposite as well, like the suitcase, right? We had no clue that whole suitcase moment would become a moment. That was the moment that that character, she decided to stay. She's like, okay, fine. You know, like it was just so special because I didn't say a word, you didn't say a word, yet we screamed at each other that we are going for it.
We take the rehearsal seriously. We plan for everything, but then we let it go. And we being in the moment and letting the universe and energies to create. And that's how you find this interesting moments
Yeah.
that just appears, and they're wonderful.
It's funny because one would think that you have to make those things happen. And I think we're good proof of like, you don't have to make them happen, you just have to let them happen.
Let them happen.
Let it happen.
Exactly.
Now you have to be ready. For what? I don't know. But whatever it is,
Anything.
I'll be ready. It's like, well, how do you know? It's like, there's no how. I just know. And I'll be ready. But for what?
Because we prepare.
Doesn't matter, but I will be ready. I feel deep in my heart I'll be ready. I feel as every single cell of my body is sure that I'll be ready, and I will seize the moment, so help me God. You know what I mean?
But you know what? It's a trust.
Oh, yes.
It's a trust first to each other, second to our work, to our structure, but then it's a trust to whatever happens, we can handle it and we can play with it and we can create something amazing.
2008, back in Brazil, I was with Vinny. We're going to talk about the project with Vinny in a minute. I remember the two of us just dreaming about life, you know, like as we used to do. It's like, I remember looking at each other, it's like, man, I think there's not a single place in the world that you can't live and make things happen. And we were 18. We had no clue what that even meant, but it's that inert, like, assertiveness of no matter what it is, I will make it work. I will trust it. And fast forward all those years, I still have it. You know, it has serviced me so well. It has serviced you so well. It has serviced us so well, to the point that I recall one day you calling me, crazy, it's fall, it's beautiful out, everything's yellow, come over. Let's
Because we only have a couple
because
days.
because the leaves are gonna fall. Let's do a video. It's like, but Julia, we have never planned, like we hadn't, and me, my brainy process, like we needed a choreography, and you're like, just come.
And never mind that I have a fever.
And you were sick. Oh my gosh, you're sick as a dog. But you're like, we need to film something. I remember we walked through the forest with Nick, and we found the spot and the leaf blower. And that's all we had.
Yeah.
And we played the music. We kind of winged a couple of moments here and there.
But then again, it's a trust.
And I was just about to say it. It's 100% what you said. It's like, by then we had done so much with each other that if I lift a finger, you knew exactly what I was going after. And if you lift a finger, like, and it's beautiful. It's much more spontaneous, of course. But I think what comes out very strongly is that urge, that emergency to make it happen, because in a week you can make it happen. The leaves are like that. It's timely. It's a time capsule, right? It's just great. It's great.
You have to be 100% in the moment.
Yeah.
In every moment. Then magic happens.
I remember I was like, what is this woman talking about? Okay, I'll go. You know, I'll go. I remember you got a piece of gold fabric, you wrapped around your waist, you stitched it, and we call it a skirt. And it looks great. Like, and you had brown platform shoes doing like standalone pirouettes in the leaves, and our friend blowing leaves around. It was so great. It was great. We got to find pictures of that.
But remember also that the last project, if it's not Vinny, then maybe it would never happen.
Oh,
Because
of course.
Vinny
Yes.
came beautifully in our connection.
He came for my show, Wave.
Yes.
And he only had that little,
Yes.
like you danced in my show as well. And oh, that was great. I just flashed back. We just had this crazy, amazing moment in the show. And it was
Oh my
so
God!
spontaneous.
And we didn't really prepare.
We didn't prepare anything.
And I had no idea that it's gonna happen because you told me in the last moment.
We just
I
did
am
it.
doing a solo show, and you're gonna
I
be
need you.
dancing there.
Yes. But yes, because Vinny came for the show and he had a limited time, he was the reason. Absolutely, he was our clock ticking to make it happen. And we went to the studio, we recorded the whole thing, and then we're like, all right, let's make magic.
Of us were dreamers, young love in the sun, felt like my savior, my spirit I gave you. We'd only just begun.
And then it was your first singing video.
It was my first
Together.
singing. Yes, I always want to do something to challenge myself or to be different, because I'm like, if I'm going to do the same thing, what's the point? And sure, there's validity of being able to do the same thing over and over, but I like the idea of challenging myself and challenging my partners to challenge me, you know. So to have Vinny, which is a master player, you know, challenging me, I was like, I want you singing this, and it was a Spanish gypsy song that I made and then I challenged. I was like, okay, you're gonna have to do this to a Spice Girls. I remember
That was crazy when you told me.
that was crazy.
I'm gonna make Spice Girls and Gypsy Kings.
Yep, it worked. It just did. And
It
Vinny
was
was like, what are you
beautiful.
talking about? I was like, you're challenging me, I'm challenging you. I look at Julia's like, we're gonna do this. We need a beach. We need to find a beach where only the two of us exist in that moment.
And
And
by
you
the
did.
way, it was winter.
It was winter. I know. You look at the scenes with us running around in the sand.
In the sand, in the summer, in the sun, when you're supposed to feel the warmth and the
Oh,
heat of
my
the
gosh.
sun, it was freezing,
Freezing,
cold.
freezing,
If you look
freezing.
behind the camera, everybody's like wearing jacket and hats.
Yes.
And we had a shot after that.
We did.
because
It was so cold, and we had to excuse me. We had to act as if nothing was going on. It was no accident. I was wearing long sleeves. It was like, but you're right. Vinny's been in my life since I understand myself as a person, you know, and you've been.
So
in
you
my-
have that connection with him before, but I
Yes.
didn't. So
But you trusted my connection with
exactly,
him
exactly.
to support the connection that you would establish with him, even momentarily.
Right.
You know, because later on we did our dance after we recorded the song, and you look at those three elements, meaning the three people, right, creating this together, and you just know they belong together. You know, you look at him play and you see him completely in it, you know, and then you watch us doing those things in the beach, and it works great, you know. And then you see the dancing by the bridge. I remember we went to that concrete, like under the bridge kind of place with some graffiti in the wall. It felt raw, but it also felt so organic
And inspiring.
and inspiring,
For
right?
sure. Yes. And it looks very powerful
Oh.
in the film.
I love that. I love how the three elements are combined, and it's not because it's me singing, but like the sing is supported by his playing, and the play, of course, supports the
It's
sing,
again,
and the voice supports
it's
the
match.
body, and you support what you're hearing and feeling, and you just create this crazy whirlwind of creativity, of chemistry, of connection.
Que no hay comprende de qué amor que yo tenía lo guardaba, de qué amor que yo tenía lo guardaba. Es como un film mal y volver ayer.
And you can't fake that,
No.
you know.
And that's one of the most important, again, for the great partnership. You have to be, I think, business, art, project, anything, you have to base your partnership on that chemistry, of that understanding each other.
You can't
Because
do it alone.
once you have it, this is the base. This is natural. You can't fake it. You can't build it. It's either there or not. And if you have it, then anything possible. Then you can find ways to do anything.
And it really, if you keep digging, because now we're really going in, any relationship starts with me knowing exactly who I am. It's like, what do I need from myself before needing anything from somebody else? We're so worried about, like, what is that person bringing to my life? I was like, wait, do I even need something from that person in my life? Why can't I just fulfill myself with things I can bring and just happen to share that with anyone that I meet? Sure, some people have more things to share than others, but no one's taking anything away from me, and no one's completing me. Because if you complete me means that the moment you're gone, I'll be missing something. And no. I have to do that work where I can be whole, I can fulfill myself in all areas, right? Personal, emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual. However you want to go there. We got to juggle all those 4 plates ourselves. And if someone comes in to juggle with you, it's like, hey, join us, you know? And that's something that without ever talking about, we've done so well, and we do so well, right? But it really starts with us being powered by who we are, and it shows everywhere. You know?
And that will have a level of connection, the partnership, boosting somewhere higher. So the higher you develop these things in yourself, the better the connection with somebody else will be. And I love the complementing each other part as well. So for example, with us, you're much more structural than me. And I completely follow you on that aspect. I just let you run the show in that aspect, and I follow you because this is your strongest point.
It's interesting because if you hadn't told me you were in a structure, I would assume you were as structured as me, because when I'm around, you seem to take that so well. I was like, of course, that's just who she is, you know? And then obviously surprising me, you saying, like, oh my God, I know how you do it, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, wait, you do that too when I'm around, you know?
Because I just follow
because you just follow
maybe.
it. No, and it makes perfect sense, because when I'm around you, I don't worry about the framing. I don't worry about the texture of things. When we filmed the...
Well, that's my part, and that's...
But that's my point. I don't think about it. And then you look, well, Ronny, of course, knows all of that. But I know because I know you know. You know, so there's this symbiose happening. When we filmed the one with the lingerie, the one that we got sponsored by, with the candles that were almost burned the house. Like, there were so many candles in there. Like, what were we thinking? No, for real. Like, it was...
we didn't.
It was correct.
We just were creating.
It was unbelievable. I look at
because
that video.
I wanted that way.
The amount of candles we had around the house, real candles, the amount of candles
Burned
we
for
had,
hours.
that it burned for like 3-4 hours. We were melting. We did fire in the summer, we did cold in the
was
winter. It's like, it
super
has to be
hot.
the opposite. We have to do warm things in the winter, cold things in the summer. I remember that. But like, it's to your point, we get so driven by our vision, and I trust you so badly that later on I look at the video and it's beautiful and it tells the message that it needs to tell. I'm like, how did we not burn the house down? Because there probably more like than 50 candles lit at the same time, and that dress flowing above the candle, like just this close, and my robe flow. Unreal, unreal how we did that.
That video was different from the previous ones, because the previous ones we work on choreography, we did the structure and everything. Here I just ask you to come over,
Yeah,
let's film something.
yeah.
There will be candles and we're going to be doing dancing.
Right, we winged it as far as the body movement, and we were very confined. Versus when we did the zouk, the fall one, it was spontaneous, but we used material that we have because we had room for it. We had a little circle of candles, and like, don't move around, and don't just hope your robe doesn't get on fire, because there's no second robe. We got sponsored by Zimmerly, sponsored my robe, and you got sponsored by this crazy amazing lingerie from Paris. And we're like, if we burn this, we're gonna have to sell the house to pay for this lingerie. You know, oh wait, the house will be burned, so there's not gonna be a house. But it worked.
It was a challenge, and it was an interesting challenge.
That's why we cherish it.
And it was fast.
Because it wasn't easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Right? It's
No,
so...
we don't go for easy.
We don't go for
No.
easy. Who does?
No,
I
it's
guess
not
some people do.
interesting.
I think some people like the easy. It's okay. It's totally fine.
It's
It's
just not
there.
our
It's
thing.
just not for me, right? It's that saying like, well, life begins at the end of the comfort zone. I was like, I agree to a point, but I think some people strive to be in comfort, and it's super okay. It's super okay. But I came to realize that that is not my thing. I need to be creating something different at all times, which is why the directing is so seducing to me, right? We are talking about seduction earlier. It seduces me in a way that I can have all this bubble for me. I'm in the bubble for 2-3 months, and you completely surround yourself for all of that. You eat, you breathe, you just completely devote yourself to that, and then you get the vision across, and then you learn from all the actors and the creative team and everything, and then you're done. Next. For some people, that is a letdown. For me, this is the biggest accomplishment of all. It's like I left what I could have. I helped however I could. I told the story however I possibly could. And now the story has to continue, you know, and I get to tell another story. I think it's the same thing for you and your clients. Every person that comes here has a different story. I can only imagine how fascinating for you is to find those different energies with different people. I looked at the albums right now, and instantly the first 2 pictures that I said, I was like, oh my God, those are completely different energies. Even though it's a very similar style of photo, it's a boudoir, it's sensual, it's black and white, but I can see you extracting the right energy from that person, because back to chemistry, the chemistry you have with your work, the relationship you have with your camera, the comfortability you have being in your space. You know, if we're uncomfortable in our very medium of work, I think we're done. Give me dance shoes, I'll be at home. You know, put me in a beautiful ballroom, I'll be at home. Like that is inspiring to us.
It's important to be a master of your craft. So you have to spend hours, years to learn technicalities. That's a must. But then you have to explore yourself. What do you feel about that? How do you feel to be exposed to nudity in my case? Are you comfortable? Am I comfortable with my nudity? Am I comfortable with the nudity of other people? If I'm not comfortable, I will never make another person comfortable. So I have to resolve this issue, if there are any issues, in myself, and I'll have to be willing to explore and be a friend and advise and be absolutely fine with that.
And you are, and you really are. I'm flashing to the work we have done, not only with each other, but with other people, like the films with Candace. the niche of the works we have done together with other people, the niche of that work is like I take a show tune, I put it into a different context, and we create a different story. And there's such trust in knowing you will capture exactly what I need you to capture to tell the story I'm seeing. Like when we did the last one, remember, like we spent the entire day in the studio, black and white. We had to film in opposite order because of the makeup, remember? And when it comes together, I just know you are capturing the story that I'm telling. You're in my brain, seeing the story I'm seeing, and you came to rehearsal, and you're good friends with Candace, and you just did so many good things. One of the, again, back to our connection, I remember we were editing, and there was this one glitch where her face flashed. I'm like, keep it. It was a glitch. I'm like, no, we need it. And then you put the video, she's spinning, then you just see that flash of a face, and boom, oh my gosh, right? Or when we were editing stuff with Renee as well, that you just knew it. Like when she touches the one, and then boom, there's a flash of light. Like, you just go with it. I just love editing with you as well, because you get it. It's like we're one in that moment.
Well, because we understand each other first, it has to be there, the understanding and willingness to explore who you are. How do you feel about this? Okay, let me go with that and feel that too. But then you have to let go of us and trust me with what I do best. I think that's the best combination.
The moment one starts understanding who they really are, you just start trusting more, because you trust yourself, is what you said. You have to resolve the things that you have. One, you have to acknowledge you have. And that's half of the battle. We all live in denial. You know, myself, you, we all have stuff. We all have stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I think half of the battle is just acknowledging. And we're like, no, I do. And what am I going to do about it? I'm not going to push it aside. It's going to come and bite me. You know, but once we resolve those things, or at least acknowledge that they are there, but I'm not going to pay energy to something that's going to be destructive to me, we can come clean to each other.
Let's summarize what's important in a partnership.
All right, let's do it.
So I think first, intuitively, you have to find that chemistry with anybody. Man, woman, it doesn't matter. For any project, for any business, it doesn't matter. But it has to be some kind of chemistry of, yes, I feel this person. This is my kind of person.
Yeah.
I understand this. Yes, we are different. There are many perspectives. We are completely different. But the base is there, the understanding on a human level.
Yeah, because there is an openness to it. I think it's important to find something genuinely good about the other person. Whatever that is, start there. And that alone will give an openness to each other, right? And then be ready. Be ready for that openness. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I think ultimately comes down to that. I was very open to what you had to bring to the table. You were very open to what I had to bring to the table. And that didn't make less of me. And what I knew didn't make less of you. I wasn't taking anything from you. You weren't taking anything from me. We were simply collaborating. So I think a good partnership in any level comes down to know who you are, know how to open yourself, and be available to that person, to that openness, so you can be vulnerable to it, right? I think that's what.
And I also think that great partnership, again, partnership, creating your partnership in life, it's the same principle. I don't believe the opposites attract. I believe you have to have common ground and have the opposite qualities. It has to be together. It's not gonna work if we're completely the same. We will be bored pretty soon. If we're completely different, we may do 1-2 projects, it's gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
It has to be a combination. We are extremely creative. If there is something needs to be done now, we're gonna do. We're both gonna jump in and be in the moment and do that. So we have a lot of common ground, but
Yeah.
we're also very different. Like you're much more structural than me, and I don't know. I tend to fly a lot,
But that challenges you positively, and you challenge me very
and that
positively as
attracts
well.
me to you
Yes.
because I see myself in you, and then I see something different, and the combination of both attracts me a lot to you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, we can do something together because I know there is a base, but there is also a challenge.
But you're right. There has to be this underlying fire. As little as it gets, it never goes off. You know, sometimes we don't talk to each other like 6 months, and then we talk to each other, and then we get for lunch. It's like we never even stopped seeing each other ever, and we're back to that fire. Like it just is there. And yes, sometimes you have to work for the fire in the beginning. You both have to
Oh,
be
absolutely.
willing to work for the fire, and sometimes it just comes naturally, and sometimes it's not going to come. None of it is written in stone. None of it is right or wrong. We just have to, again, be open and vulnerable enough to identify those things around us. If we are just that, if we are to be one thing, I say let's all be able to identify who we are in order to be vulnerable. Whew, as I say that, I can see how much work I need to do. You know what I mean? But like, it's good to say it because I know at least half of the battle is there.
Right.
You know, so this is great. This is great. I really want us to do more stuff. And my alarm is going off, so it's probably good timing that we're finishing this one
Perfect.
out. Yes. This one now. I love
Awesome.
it. Thank you.
If you like this video, please follow me on YouTube. Check my Instagram page, Juliati Photography. Also my website, juliati.com. There are a lot of interesting behind the scenes videos and stories.